Right, and we're talking about crucial bills that are yet to be passed, and the way it looks, they won't be passed by the deadline. Let's first take a look at some of those bills. The bills that are pending at 28, Parliament can extend that period by 1 year. That is actually the proposal by CIOC. Remember, it requires two-thirds majority to do that, 233 members of Parliament. Now, they include the pending bills: Community Land Bill, very crucial; Physical Planning Bill; Historical Land Injustices Bill, a very sensitive bill there. We're going to ask the Majority Leader whether it's about sensitivity issues on such bills. Provision of minimum or maximum acreage land ownership, again another crucial bill there. Eviction and Resettlement Bill 2015, Access to Justice Bill, this one touches the judiciary, as well as Magistrate Courts Bill, the Judiciary Fund Bill, and proposed amendments to Judicial Services Act. We also have the bill on restructuring the provincial administration, the two-third gender rule, and Irrigation Bill 2015. So whether you like it or not, this affects you sitting at home in one way or another. The Energy Bill 2015, Control of Budget Bill 2015, and the Culture Bill 2015. These are just some of the 28 bills, very crucial. And remember, you can actually go to court and kick out the entire Parliament for failing to meet legislative deadlines. I hope my guests won't say that I'm inciting anyone against them. Babu Namwamba, Secretary General, ODM, and Majority Leader Adan Duale in the National Assembly, thank you so much both for making time for the big question tonight. You're not worried about being kicked out by anybody, are you?
It's far from what people say out there. I mean, the Constitution has provided serious mechanism and way forward on how these bills will be done, but ultimately, if a time will come when somebody can go to court and ask the Chief Justice to write to the President for the decision of Parliament.
Right. You're Majority Leader in the National Assembly, generally in charge of government business in the House. Why is this happening?
No, let me set the record straight from the onset. There are 25 bills to be enacted in year 5 of the Constitution implementation matrix,
yes,
which is ending 27th of August.
Yes.
Out of the 28, I have so far received in my office and signed for publication 17 bills as of this afternoon. As of Thursday last week, we had 15. Today I've received 2 more bills from the Attorney General's office.
Yes.
It's not the first time we find ourselves in this
situation.
Yes, I think since 2013, 2014, and even this year. But this is the final stage of the enactment of pieces of legislation that has a bearing on the overall implementation of the Constitution. And these bills are very, very important. I served in last Parliament with Honorable Babu Namwamba, and I remember in last Parliament we did 18 bills in 3 weeks in a hurry.
And people questioned that.
And people questioned,
including the quality of legislation, including, I'm going to come back to you shortly if you allow me. Let me allow Babu Namwamba to talk, including now some legislators in the Coalition for Reforms and Democracy and ODM not really comfortable with this extension thing, and they're actually saying they will not support any kind of extension until it is explained what really happened.
You know, Hussein, this process we're talking about is crucial. It's a critical process because it's about completing the consummation of our new constitutional order. Because the new order will only be complete when we have rolled out the full complement of legislation, what you call enabling legislation. And before we talk about extensions, and as my brother, the Majority Leader, says, this is not really the first time that we have considered an extension. But there have to be very good reasons. There have to be good reasons. In fact, I would say there have to be compelling reasons
as to why
there should be an extension. In contrasting with the 10th Parliament, we did some incredible amount of work, by the way. A bit of it was rushed, but the rate at which legislation was churned out and the level of consultation was such that we kept Parliament on its toes, and also the drafting department in the Aegis chambers. But I would want to focus on 2 things. One is that where we are seated as the alternative view in the country is that we feel there must be something the public is not being told, and there must be some concern or some fear that may be holding some of these bills back. And my mind takes me immediately to the legislation related to land. When talking about issues of historical injustices, you're talking about issues of minimum and maximum benchmarks for land holding. Those are issues which you get a feeling that it may be causing discomfort in certain quarters, and that could be a factor why they are being held back, so that when they are listed together with bills like the irrigation bill, you get a feeling that those are merely accompaniments. They are merely accompaniments. But the second issue, just for purposes of this discussion, is the process through which these bills are being developed. Previously, we have expressed concern that there seems to be another center of drafting that is different from the office of or what we call the state law office under the Attorney General. And previously, even though the Attorney General has admitted this, as recent as the recent discussion around the bill on the military, where the Attorney General basically is saying they don't know where this bill is coming from. Right. And so the ordinary process would be that a bill is originated by the relevant department, in this case the ministry responsible, and then it comes to cabinet. That is then cleared by cabinet, and then it goes to the Attorney General for drafting, and then the bill comes to the House after being published. The question we'd want to know is that why are bills being drafted elsewhere other than the state law office? Okay. What really is going on? This is unprecedented. And the majority leader could explain.
Yes. Let me make it two issues very clear and very fundamental. One is that under the current presidential system of government, it is the office of the leader of majority for the National Assembly who signs bills on behalf of government. And every bill that comes to us must be accompanied by 4 documents. A forwarding letter from the Attorney General's office, a letter from the cabinet proving that the bill went through the cabinet session chaired by the president, a letter from CIC confirming that the process went through CIC, and of course far more fundamentally a confirmation from the Kenya Law Reform Commission that does drafting with the Attorney General's office. And I want to confirm that we don't have another office that does drafting, and that is a document that the National Assembly of the Republic of Kenya, both the legal department, the Speaker's office, and my office have put it in writing, and we have received it. Secondly, and more fundamentally,
that worries me.
And more fundamentally,
let him just finish.
And more fundamentally, you know, when I see my colleagues in the opposition saying that we feel there are certain sensitive pieces of legislation
that there's something we're not being told.
Yes. I mean, under the current system of parliamentary democracy that we have, these same pieces of legislations can be brought by individual members of parliament. The community land bill, which I've already received, the historical injustice bill, the minimum and maximum, the maximum and minimum land bill. What has stopped the other, not only even the opposition, even Jubilee.
NMP, yes.
I mean, the 349 members of parliament had the same powers as the government to bring the same bills to the floor of the House for the attainment of the deadline. And I'll give an example. In year 4 last year, among the bills that were to be enacted by August 2014, I remember there was a bill on the domestic violence bill, which was brought by the Honorable Millie Odhiambo. And when that bill came to the House, we asked government, fine, you can bring your input to the same bill. So when they say that we have a card under the table, I think, and I want to make it very clear, I think the alternative leadership in parliament has failed. Has failed. I mean, what stops them from bringing the historical land injustice bill. Why wait when it is 16 days to the deadline and blame government, blame the HE? And finally, I think, from where I sit, even as a member for Garissa Township, some of these bills and laws are made for posterity. Laws are made where we need to build consensus, where we need to make sure the stakeholders are taken throughout, where we need to make a serious law, not for the opposition, not for government.
Right.
And finally, we have no intention. We are a coalition that believes in the rule of law. It's us who are in government, and the burden of proof, whether we want to make sure the full implementation of the Constitution has gone through, we will see when we extend, and we will bring the bills.
Right, I'll come back to you and ask the same question to you, why it is taking this, why this late again? And like you said, this is not the first time. Why is it happening again? But I want first Honorable Governor Mwamba to respond to that you should have done something about it if you really wanted something to be done. That's what
my very good friend, Honorable Dwale is my good friend, my colleague, is really playing the politics of scapegoating and passing the buck. He and the Jubilee coalition that he's part of, they are the primary responsibility for this legislative burden. If we were in government as CORD, as ODM, then definitely this is one responsibility that we would have given great prominence. They have always assured, they have given persistent and consistent assurance to the country that they are on top of things in terms of the implementation schedule. And so really for my brother to sit here and purport to pass this back to me or to CORD is really, and by the way, we have made effort, our members have made effort, members actually across the board have made effort to bring legislation. But that really is not the main point. The point is, number one, why did we not prioritize these land bills previously? And then secondly, why are we talking about a one-year extension? Why shouldn't we be placing ourselves under the leash and say we can do this in 60 days? Why talk about a year? Yes, a year is like the ceiling provided constitutionally, but why shouldn't we be placing ourselves, if really Jubilee was serious about concluding these legislative tasks, they should be saying we are placing ourselves under a strict deadline of 60 days. And then thirdly, and most fundamentally, why are we flouting established tradition? Why are we creating other centers?
Which center is this? You keep talking.
No, but the majority leader here just told you Hussein. Rather than ask me that question, ask him.
I'd also like it to come from you.
It is an amorphous arrangement, apparently under the presidency, operating under the presidency, that has basically usurped the powers of the Attorney General. You know, so when the Attorney General comes out and confirms that legislation is being drafted in other places without his knowledge, I think first of all, Hussein, this raises a very serious constitutional question, because we know that the office directly responsible for drafting legislation is the State Law Office. That is the constitutionally mandated office. Who is this other authority? And which authority are they exercising? Which constitutional mandate are they exercising? And to whom are they responsible?
You know, Hussein,
to whom do they answer?
You've asked a very good question.
Yeah.
Which is this center? There's no way you can say.
The question is back to you.
No, yes. Which is this center, which is amorphous? I bet it's very, very clear.
Under the presidency.
Very, very clear that the National Assembly receives bills from government through a covering letter, including the one on the Kenya Defence Forces Act, which has my signature. You know, the problem we have in our country is that the opposition has perfected the art of rumor mills, which are not based on facts. Because
okay, let's cite an example. Let us cite an example of what he's saying.
Let me finish.
I'll finish. But let's cite an example of what he's saying.
Yes.
We actually saw the Attorney General come out and say I have no knowledge of this bill.
And I have said, Hussein,
and I want to get it. I wish you could bring the Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya. That was what was carried in the media. But the Kenyan Defense Forces Act that has my signature, that is about to mature, maybe introduced to the floor next week,
right,
came to the legal department of the National Assembly of the Republic of Kenya, the 11th one, through a covering letter from the State Law Office. But let me go back to the fundamental that I have raised, yes, which my good friend and the let me finish.
Fundamental issue before we move
let me finish.
The issue of who the authority is.
You had your time. I think if you allow me.
Just respond to that.
I really would want to know.
Just respond. Respond to what Babu Namwamba is asking.
Yes.
Then you can go on.
The fundamental issue that we raised under a presidential system of government, any of these 28 pieces of legislation could have come from any of the 349 members of Parliament.
Right.
That's one. Two, we're saying we must be alive to the fact that we have a bicameral Parliament. And up to now, it's the media. The extension period lies with a motion that will come to the floor of the House. The House can decide to extend the period by 3 months, by 6 months, by 1 year.
Right.
Nobody, and I think the chair of the Committee on Constitutional Implementation, Honorable Vaya, will bring a motion to the House Business Committee, the way I sit, and we will look at that and see. Last time we extended by 9 months until May 27th.
What is your proposal?
But because 70 or 80% of this 28 pieces of legislation touches on both houses, and the public participation period and consensus building within the committees of both houses is concerned, I can say it with certain that between 3 to 6 months period
will be enough.
Anything
between
3 to 6, so that a bill can be dealt with in one of the houses, maybe a month and a half.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, let me get Ababu's on that.
But there's no extension, and as of today, I don't know where my colleague got the 1 year extension. There's no motion before the House. It's the House business to decide. We can even extend it for 2 months, agree with the Senate, or 1 month.
And do you think that is possible with the sensitivities of this bill?
I don't think so from where I sit.
First of all, Hussein, on the question of who generates this legislation, I would like the majority leader to accept that they bear primary responsibility here, and really that is not debatable. You bear this responsibility, and on another point also,
you bear a larger responsibility.
They bear the responsibility, but I'm not running away from our legislative responsibilities also as members of the House.
Let me finish. Article 95.
Let me finish. You're also dealing with a mindset polluted by the so-called tyranny of numbers, where anything coming from our side of the aisle in the House is basically marked for destruction. So however good it is, it's going to be shot down merely because it has come from the other side. And so really, it has set a mood in that House where members feel that really, if this does not enjoy the goodwill of the so-called tyranny, then it's got absolutely no chance for consideration.
Right.
But that's neither here nor there.
Okay.
Two things. Number one, I would like Kenyans to be very wary about the manner in which some of these pieces of legislation are being generated. And I want it to go on record very, very clearly, Hussein, that the majority leader actually evaded. He considered at the beginning of this debate, he considered of the existence of another authority, and then he has attempted to run away from it, and maybe you could even replay the start of this show to confirm. He considered, but that's neither here nor there. Let me finish.
Okay, just let me finish.
But then the other point is that we believe, we have very good reasons to believe, that somebody somewhere or some interest somewhere are very scared of some of these land-related bills. Somebody somewhere does not want the matter of historical injustices related with land. I mean, there are powerful forces. Let me finish. And therefore, we need to admit that dealing with the land matters in this country is not an easy thing. In fact, land has been at the center of our troubles forever. But you also stand accused, just respond to this before I go to all, you also stand accused. I mean, this is not, this thing has been happening. I mean, we knew it since August 2010, and these bills were supposed to be passed by 27th August within 5 years. You also stand accused as the opposition of talking now. No. We have always talked about these things, Hussein. We have always made it absolutely clear that implementation of the Constitution is a fundamental responsibility. In fact, the first government elected under the new constitutional order had as its primary responsibility the conclusion of rolling out of the enabling legislation. And so really, any serious government would have given this absolute priority, especially if on a matter as important as land. All right, we need to
Hussein, you need to listen to me. Number one, Hussein, this government has, and this presidency has done more legislation than any other government since independence, including the last government of the Grand Coalition. That I can provide the evidence. The number of legislation, of course, credit goes to government and not to the legislation. But so let's face the fact. Under the current constitution, the function of a member of parliament are threefold. Article 95, legislation with no boundary, oversight and representation. Each and every member of parliament had this. Secondly, and more fundamentally to the people of Kenya, these 28 pieces of legislation ultimately is a function of the legislature. The presidency and the executive will only come at the initial production if parliament has not produced and at the assent. So they have 133 members in the National Assembly. And you know, this culture of Hussein always saying the tyranny of numbers, and I've said it here many times, the tyranny of numbers originates from the will of the people. It is the people of Kenya who decided.
No problem with it.
No, let me finish. It is the people. I want to forward it in a minute. It is from the will of the people. It is the people of Kenya who decided to give the numbers to the Jubilee. Secondly, it's not the first time. The current head of state, Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, in 2002 was the leader of the opposition. He had barely less than 60 members of parliament. Honorable Raila Odinga and Honorable Mwai Kibaki then, and the Kalonzo and the Watangulas had 162.
Right.
So when it's like what Obama said, when you have the tyranny, you don't say it.
All right.
But I think, but I think on a parting shot, the opposition in our country should not be the crybaby. They should take their role.
To avoid the blame game, because we'll go on and on and on. Way forward, you're saying the extension should be anything between 3 months and 6 months.
Number one, the prerogative of the extension lies with the whole House. It's not a function of the leader of majority. A motion will be brought. It is the House in totality that will agree.
But you will support such a...
Of course, I will support a longer, between 6 to 9 months, so that some of these bills are so important to the country that each and every Kenyan must be taken through, that the two houses, and of course, when the two houses disagree, they might even go to a mediation.
What would you...
Way forward. Hussein, the Constitution is neither Jubilee nor CORD.
Absolutely.
The Constitution belongs to all the people of Kenya collectively.
The bills are supposed to,
in fact,
for the people of Kenya.
This legislation we're talking about is an expression of the dreams, the aspirations of the people of this country. In the spirit we built in the 10th Parliament of consensus and conversation across the board is a spirit we must reenact now. I want to challenge the majority leader that let us go back to that spirit. Let us get back together. Let us establish a framework, a mechanism where we can talk together. And we could even share this responsibility where we agree if the state law office is not churning out this legislation at the right pace, then we could go the route of private members' bills and share this responsibility across the board.
So we will get this bill before 27th.
I challenge Jubilee. do not treat constitutional implementation as a government project. It is a Kenyan project which we should really share. Let us consult.
And I think CORD should also treat this as a political tool to use it against the opposition. But
my director will kill me if I don't.
But I want to confirm that by the 27th of August, we will receive all the 27 bills.
Okay, I want. This is a very brief one. Please, 30 seconds. We've already seen the opposition unhappy with the business deal with Uganda. CORD leader Raila Odinga has written a statement. I don't know if you know about that, Honorable Babu Namwamba, especially about importing sugar in this country. You were in this trip. I don't know what you have to say about that.
I sat in all the bilaterals. The opposition didn't sit. They didn't have the opportunity. So the right person to talk to the country is me. We had a very fantastic trip to Uganda. We signed bilaterals. A communique, like any other state visit, was issued at the end of the trip.
Specifically say this will destroy. Let me just
let me finish.
Let me go to the
All the deals that we have signed was spelled out in a communique read by the Minister for Foreign Affairs of Uganda. The media have copies.
Specific about.
So what went in the deal is a public. It's in government. Citizen TV was well represented by one of your crew.
Yes. So Aribe was there.
Yes.
But it is. I mean, the specific thing they're talking about, especially, is the issue of importing sugar, and they're talking about how this will affect and kill local sugar industry in this country.
It's not the first time Kenya is importing.
You don't think that?
It's not the first time, number one. It's not the first time Kenya is importing sugar, or is willing, or is thinking of importing sugar to Kenya. That's number one. Under the leadership of the former Prime Minister, in last government, thousands and thousands of tons of sugar were imported into the country.
Well, there was a problem.
No. So when the sugar factories are under repair, and Kenya is a member of the COMESA Sugar Safeguard. Parliament that the opposition sits have approved until 2 months ago the extension of the safeguards. So it is not a crime to import sugar to Kenya. It has happened in all successive governments. But I want to make it clear and very fundamental that we are a very transparent government. We had a very wonderful state visit. We did a communique, and one of the biggest achievements that we got out of the state visit was the conclusion on the agreement to build the pipeline from Hoima to Lokchar to let me finish, to Isiolo to Garissa to Lamu, and that will open northern Kenya for investment.
Hussein, this is our concern: unregulated importation of sugar. In fact, bordering on what you want to call sugar piracy, has crippled the sugar industry in this country. And it is at the very heart of the woes we are seeing Mumias, Muhoroni, Chemelil, and the rest suffering. And what we are saying, if indeed the president has struck a deal with Uganda to continue this tradition of unregulated influx of sugar here from Uganda,
if he has,
then it will spell a death knell for the struggling, for whatever remnants, what remains.
Although it is also said that Kenya is
and I'm worried, Hussein, at a time when some of us even applauded the president for the gesture of attempting to resuscitate companies like Mumias.
But Kenya is not sugar sufficient.
No, that is another issue. That's another issue. The president should be throwing all his effort in resuscitating the sugar production sector in the country. If indeed it's true, it would amount to economic sabotage. It would really amount to
one word. We're the first government that has shown the will and the power to revive the sugar factories in Western.
And the government to officially strike a deal to flood this economy with cheap sugar.
Okay, I wish we had more time to discuss about this sugar issue, but of course there is tomorrow and there's Thursday, and I'm sure this is a developing story. A lot more will be coming up. Majority Leader Arnold Duale, thank you so much for making time for the big question, and of course Secretary General of the ODM Babu Namwamba. Keep talking to us on 22422 on Twitter using the hashtag The Big Question. We're back after this break.